Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back, as there is a fresh Payday 2 update 245 out now, and this one lands right alongside the espionage weapon pack. The patch itself is 131.9 megabyte, and the overall vibe here is pretty clear. This update is doing a mix of crash fixes, gameplay tuning, UI cleanup, and a pretty serious overhaul pass on the OVESAW 9000 saw. So if you have been wondering what changed and whether this is one of those updates that just quietly fixes a few things, the answer is no. This one actually touches a lot of systems in a meaningful way. The first thing that stands out is that the devs are trying to smooth out a bunch of frustrating edge cases, especially the kind that can break a run at the worst possible moment. They fixed a crash that could happen when using ECM feedback on an in-custody player's ECM. They fixed another crash tied to cops dying from damage over time while the player is in custody. And they also fixed the heavy Zeal sniper not spawning properly in holdout modes. On top of that, some missing mask materials were not being included in the drop pools, and the shock baton melee weapon was showing the wrong third-person model. So there is a little bit of polish work here too. Now, in the gameplay side of things, there is one change that really jumps out right away. Killed enemies in loud now alert other nearby enemies. That means loud play is getting a bit more reactive, and honestly, that can change the pace of a fight in a way that players will notice almost immediately. They also increased the Psychodozer's damage on Mayhem and below to make up for the damage reduction from the previous update, so that enemy is not staying softened for long if you are playing at those lower difficulties. Vehicles that got stuck can now respawn properly again, which sounds like a niche fix until it happens to you in the middle of a heist and suddenly becomes the only thing you care about. Snipers were also fixed so they return to their shooting position after stumbling, which should make those encounters feel less broken and more consistent. Then there's the interface work, where the game now has a stat display panel for throwables, which is a really practical addition because it gives players a clearer look at what they are actually carrying and doing. There is also a fix for the copycat perk deck showing the wrong cooldown time when the Blitzkrieg Bop card is in use, so anybody running that setup should get more accurate info on screen now. The biggest talking point, though, is definitely the OVESAW 9000 changes, because this is where the update really starts to feel like a proper balance pass instead of just housekeeping. Saw hits are now calculated from the middle of the screen instead of from the blade view model, which should make the weapon feel more consistent in actual play. Its base damage got pushed up from 23 to 92, and the patch notes explain that the saw used to have a hidden 4 times damage multiplier against locks, which made the UI damage readout misleading. So this change is not only about making it stronger in a cleaner way, it is also about making the weapon's numbers make sense to the player. Ammo use was reworked from a random range of 5 to 15 per hit down to a flat 5 per hit, and the magazine size was reduced from 150 to 100. On the surface, that sounds like a nerf, but the notes point out that the new ammo model actually makes the effective ammo capacity higher than before. They also toned down screen shake and visual recoil, and the saw only applies visual recoil now when it actually hits a surface, which should make it feel a lot less chaotic to use. The weapon mods got a full pass too. Sharp Blade went from a 3 damage bonus to 12, Silent Motor now cuts the alert radius from 8.5 meters down to 2 meters. Fast Motor was redesigned to double the fire rate to 800 instead of just adding 3 damage. And Saw Massacre now reduces ammo usage by 80% instead of 50%. That is a huge set of changes, and it makes the Saw feel like a weapon that the developers actually want people to build around, rather than just use in very narrow situations. There is also a small but welcome heist fix for Golden Grin Casino, where a ceiling lamp was missing transparency on its contact shadows. That kind of thing may sound cosmetic at first, but little environmental issues like that can add up and make a map feel less finished than it should. And at the end of the official post, the warning is there as usual. Updates can be incompatible with installed mods, even ones that seem unrelated. So if something starts acting strange after the patch, the first test is to remove mods and try again. If the game still has problems after that, the advice is to verify the integrity of the game files through Steam. So overall, this update feels like one of those solid maintenance plus balance patches that clears out crashes, makes loud combat a little more dangerous, improves the reliability of enemies and vehicles, adds a useful throwable stat display, and gives the OVESAW 9000 a much more deliberate identity. It is not just about fixing broken stuff, it is also about making a few systems feel more readable and more consistent for players who spend a lot of time in the game.